Up YouTube, I'm AlienAscend. I'm homeless. I live in my car. In today's video, we're going to be talking about preparing for homelessness 101, what to do before you're even homeless, right? So I don't think there's any other videos out here like this. I'm going to cover a bunch of stuff that you probably never even heard about, thought about, or even, like if you're homeless or you're preparing for homeless, let's say that you're a prepper, or whether you're somebody who's trying to understand the different avenues and the different options. Even if you're just somebody who thinks, that you'll never be homeless, this is information that you're going to need because you never know when it can happen. So I'm gonna jump straight into it. First thing is just homeless classifications, whether you're gonna be, so if you're preparing to be homeless, or you think it's gonna happen, or it might happen in the future, like I said, or you're preparing for it in some way or fashion, it's a reality that it can happen to anybody. So having this information and definitely having this video, like as a reference is gonna help you a whole lot. It really does add a lot of value. Real quick, let's see here. So homeless classification, if you're gonna be on foot, that's one way of it, so if you're gonna be on foot, are you gonna be on foot and you're gonna be traveling around? Those are normally known as like foot travelers, gypsies. They're always on the move, hopping trains. So like this is classification. So on foot traveling, on foot stationary. Are you going to be a homeless shelter life, where you're always in the shelter? Homeless bike packing, even there's people that do bike packing that aren't even homeless, that just go on huge trips. We're going to cover that as well, but this is classification. Homeless car life or homeless vehicle living, and then homeless motorcycle. These are the ones that pop in my head instant. I'm sure there's other classifications, but these are the major ones. And some of these ones I don't even see being talked about on YouTube. So like I said, I am somebody who lives in my car. I've also been homeless where I didn't have a vehicle, and I was on foot. I was also homeless on the streets with a bicycle. So I could talk about a lot of this stuff from personal experience, and I'm going to be talking about some of the stuff that that I wish that I knew before becoming homeless, something I can prepare to do better on. Some of it is items, some of it is just preparing, I guess, basically some of the stuff that you're going to need, and then also some of the things that you should be watching out for. And then for entertainment purposes, I'll talk about some real life situations and where my perspectives are. I'm not a very political person, where I'm not PC. I will be calling it the way I see it. If it's a spade, it's a spade. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to talk exactly about what I've seen with shelters, and what I've actually seen on the street, what I've actually seen with people that were travelers. I've never hopped a train, so that's some crazy stuff. And actually, I'll talk about some organizations with that stuff. You know what I mean? So one thing for sure is, before you become homeless or while you're homeless, is reevaluating your situation on what you can do to prepare and give yourself more options. I don't recommend ever being homeless on foot. However, it does happen. I think you should always have a bicycle. It is a very great means of transportation. I don't need to sugarcoat it and go long story on it. It's pretty simple. A bicycle is your friend, right? I know that it doesn't really matter what kind of bike you have. I know that in the past, mountain bikes for me have always been a pain in the ass to put the chain back on if you repair your back tire. However, I don't know, but it's been a long time since I've ever had a mountain bike. The kind of bikes that I always got were like cruisers, or they were like Schwinn's, or they were knockoff Schwinn's, but they were old school cruiser, straight up beach cruiser. It's got the kind of brakes that you just push back on the pedals and it stops, and that they got the white wall tires. They look really good. A lot of them are steel frame, so they're very heavy. Those are the Walmart $100 ones. You know what I'm saying? You can get bicycles really cheap on Craigslist and Facebook and stuff like that. And a lot of people actually have old bicycles laying around, and maybe you trade for it in some way, like you do some yard work for them, or something like that. You can get them as cheap as $20 bucks. Some of them $40-$50 on Marketplace. But when I'm talking about classifications, I'm going to be talking about some of the stuff that I suggest, and I'm also, stay with me on this. I'm going to tell you some items that you probably never even heard about or even thought about, especially if you're going to be a prepper. Like people that are preppers, like doomsday preppers and stuff like that, they can watch this video and be like, dude, I didn't even know about this, or I didn't know about that, and they can learn a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? Car life, that's exactly what I've been doing. I've been living in my car for quite some while. If you actually take a look at my YouTube, I've been living in my car for what I consider a very long time. This is the longest I've ever been homeless, just to let you know. And I'll even talk about, I do have a video on here how I became homeless, so you can check that out. But later towards the video, I'll talk about that if you just don't have the chance to take a look at it. This could be the one-stop shop, basically. And then homeless motorcycle. I've never lived on a motorcycle and like that. However, I am contemplating getting one in the future because it does have some nice-looking benefits. So if you're somebody like that, I would classify that as like basically a nomad. All right. So I'm gonna jump into some the items that no matter what classification you're in, these are the items that I would suggest, right? So there's a well, first, like a 75-liter backpack. They're about $100 to $150. Some of them are even more expensive, but a 75-liter backpack, right? This is a limited lifestyle. I know that you want a backpack and you want a shoulder bag and you want this and that. The less you have, well, the more you know, the less you need, and then the less you need means that it's easier for comfortability and walking around. You got to remember that having a bunch of bags paints a nasty target on you. Like this person's got a backpack, he's got a shoulder bag, he's got a duffel bag, he's got this and he's got that. I wonder what's in it, and it paints you as a target. Also, it really does show off that you're homeless. My style of stuff is living in my car. I want to appear that I'm not homeless. I want that's you'll get to know. I'll talk more about it in a little bit, but all right. So you're gonna want a backpack. That's easy enough. Everybody knows you should do that. Can you do it with a regular backpack? Absolutely, but I do recommend a 75-liter backpack or higher. And if you can get it waterproof, that's great. If it can't get it waterproof, a garbage bag over it when it does rain. It all depends on your elements and what you have to deal with. But a garbage bag over your backpack, guess what? Now it's waterproof, right? If you don't have a garbage bag with you, guess what? Grocery store bags. Can you those can be MacGyvered and done in such a way that your stuff isn't going to get wet. You know what I mean? Here's something cool that I wish I knew about and that I'm actually going to get when I have a chance. Is it's called a SunJack 25-watt foldable solar power panel. Now this thing is small, man. So they got a 15-watt one. The 15-watt one is even smaller. This thing has it's got attachments to actually go on a backpack, and it just lays down your backpack a little bit. So on the outside of your backpack, you got a solar power thing that's 25 watts. You can get the 15-watt one. You can basically walk with that thing just unfolded in your hand. It's so small. The 25-watt one is a little bit bigger. It's probably about the length of your backpack, and it's going to be probably about half as wide. Now with this particular one, I say SunJack because that's what that looks like. It's got a reputable company. You can do your own research, but what's really cool about this particular one is you don't even need to have a battery bank or a power bank or whatever. You can plug that directly into your phone or whatever devices you want to charge. However, I do recommend that you get two battery what were they called, power, hold on, where the hell is it called? I wrote it down. Power banks, that's what they're called, right? For 120 bucks, it looks like on Amazon you can get that 25-watt SunJack solar panel, and then two power banks, and each power bank is 10,000 mAh. That's not too bad of a setup. I would recommend getting two power banks. I always have to look at my paper. It's hard for me to remember the word power bank for some reason. But a 10,000 mAh, if you didn't know, 10,000 mAh is going to charge your phone about 3 times. Okay, some of the information say 3.5 times. I'm going to say probably about 2.5 to 3 times it's going to charge your phone. Right? Technically, it should take about 3 or 4 hours just walking around or being in the sun for that. However, about 3 hours, between 3 to 5 hours, depending. Maybe even sooner, who knows. I don't have it, but the research I've looked on it, it looks like about 3 to 4 hours it should charge up a 10,000 mAh battery. I personally would have a 20,000 mAh battery and a 10,000 mAh battery, or 220s. Why I would do that is, and this is why I would recommend it, is while you're having one charged, you have the other one to go ahead and charge your devices, from your cell phones to whatever, right? And even if if you only have one, then you're going to be using that to charge your phone when the good old sun is still out. You might as well utilize always having one that's always full and one that you're charging. You know what I'm saying? Or you go back and forth with them. So if 10,000 mAh will do your phone between 2 to 3 times, a 20,000 mAh should do it between 6 and 9 times. And That is also good. So like if you're on foot, it's going to go ahead and help you charge your phones or whatever devices you may have. That's going to make it so while you're sitting around, you're at least getting electricity and stuff like that. It's also a great way to charge your stuff during the day and then have that electricity at night. So it's great for foot. It's also great for car. This thing is so small, I could put it in the front of my dash and get free electricity while I'm and not have to idle my car. That's another good reason, right? You could also throw it on top of your hood if you want, right? Now, of course, so something small like this, even if you're in a car and you want to go all the way with big solar panels, having this little thing and having it in a bug out bag is really going to help you out, just in case your car breaks down and you got to go ahead and walk somewhere for a very long time and stuff like that. Or your car's not starting, you still need to charge your phone to figure out what you need to do. Having this thing will give you that ability. Also, if you're if you're a homeless trying to do shelter life, charging outside where you could sit outside and be away from people, and then go inside there when it's time to go to sleep. It's basically good for all classifications of homeless is what I'm trying to get out. What I'm trying to convey to you. The next thing is this. There's a thing called a super fast charger. You plug it into a wall, and whatever you plug into it charges really, really fast. So to give you an idea, this thing, the brand is called Anchor, and it could charge your phone within 10 minutes. So let's say you're on foot, instead of hanging around that coffee shop for that hour to hour and a half, and that's with fast charging cables, right? If you're there, you could be at the Starbucks for an hour or 30 minutes or 40 minutes. This thing you plug directly into the wall, plug your phone in, and your phone's going to be charged in 10 minutes. It's going to charge your laptops quicker. It's going to charge your iPads quicker. It's going to do all that stuff. If you it's also good, let's say for example you're living in a truck stop or a rest area, if you're urban living on foot or on bicycle, going inside let's say for example a fast food place, right? You may only get about 10 minutes in that bathroom before you raise suspicion, right? So in 10 minutes you plug that thing into their wall sockets, and 99% or 90% of any bathrooms I've ever used in public always have a wall socket. Some of them have a whole lot, like a rest area will have a whole lot, a truck stop will have a whole lot, but fast food places generally have one or two that's kind of by the light switch, because they need it, right? They need that for them to plug in whatever they're doing, like if there's they got to do a repair in the bathroom or whatever. But you plug that in, so if you only got 10 minutes in this bathroom, 5-10 minutes before the general public or is wondering what you're doing in the bathroom, whether it's single service bathrooms or you're in there with a lot of people. If you're in there with it's got let's say for example 3 or 4 toilets and a couple of urinals, instead of just standing there for a whole hour looking kind of creeped out and stuff with your phone charger, drawing attention, you plug that thing in, plug your phone in, and then boom, that's go. Or if you find an outlet, and I've done this when I was homeless on my feet, on the feet and stuff, and having a bicycle, finding outside of places like especially tire shops and mechanical places, even some grocery stores will have 1 or 2 outlets, and it's for them, right? However, plug that right into outside of a building, and instead of hanging out there for, like I said, a whole hour to charge something, you're out there 10 minutes and your devices are charged, and you could roll off and be stealth about it. Then that's kind of like the name of the game for me, is like being stealthy and being efficient. Of course, you're going to want cell phone cables and stuff like that. You're also going to need a sleeping bag, no matter your situation. If you that's pretty redundant. You're going to need a sleeping bag. Some people would say, oh, you always need a tent. Well, there's cities, and it also depends on your circumstances. There are certain places that you can't pop a tent, but you can go ahead and crawl in a bush with your sleeping bag, or behind some brush, or behind a dumpster, and stuff like that. And I'll talk about when I was homeless without a car and living on the streets, and then before I got a bicycle and stuff like that, I would sleep at parks, but it would be like behind a tennis ball court that had a bunch of brush. I'd go in there and sleep, right? I never slept out in public. If it was daytime, I might sleep a little bit, laying down in the park, not looking homeless. Like if I was laying there and I had a bunch of bags next to me, everybody would know my prerogative. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want that. And why that is because at that time I was trying to stay in places that weren't overfilled with homeless. So in nicer areas, when people call the cops, they do show up. they will ticket you from time to time, or they'll tell you to get lost and they'll never do it again. Sometimes they'll give you a warning and whatever, and it gets pretty annoying. That was back then. I have no idea if they're like that anymore, but I would still assume that they're like that in certain areas. I know that in rich areas, me parking my car in like nicer areas, like a nicer area, rest areas will let you stay there, but some of them have weird things like no more than 10-hour parking. So if you park, like you can't just park there and like be like, I live here from now on. It says 10-hour parking. But a lot of truck stops will not give me parking in nicer areas with vehicles. They will let truck drivers park there. And if this is the first time you're watching my videos, I used to be a truck driver. You may want to check out why I quit truck driving and stuff like that. But like I was saying, that at truck stops, there'll be like no parking, more than an hour, and they will enforce it. They will get your car towed. Sometimes they're nice enough to warn you. Sometimes they'll just knock at your window and ask you to roll out or what's going on. But they do have free, not free. Some of them actually charge the truck drivers to stay there, and then some of them actually have free parking. So nicer area truck stops, and like I said, will be kind to truck drivers, which they need to be. More people need to be kind to them. But for the people that live in vehicles, they're not so kind. So every place that I've always stayed at, other than rest areas, have always been in the hoods. Like and I got videos where I discuss all that stuff. But let's see here. Another thing that no matter what your classification is, I would recommend that you get EBT. That's basically welfare money. They'll send you a card. You'll get a couple $100 for groceries a month. It's not enough to live on for the whole month, especially with grocery prices and stuff like that. However, if you're eligible for it, whether you think you need it or not, yeah, I recommend you get it, because that is going to save you money on other stuff. It's not enough to live off the whole month unless you eat like a rabbit, and you could live off of it if it's just top ramen. If you're not going to give your body everything it needs, especially with how prices are rising. But I would recommend that. I would also and I also have EBT, just to let you know. The next thing is that I would recommend that you get, no matter what about your classification, is the Obama phones. They might not be called Obama phones now, but I have one as well. And basically, as long as you use it once a month, it stays on there. I understand that they have a thing called ACH and Lifeline, and one of the programs as of right now is backlogged, and they're shutting it down. However, you should be able to qualify for, I believe, Lifeline, and that will get you a really cheap phone. The camera on there isn't worth nothing. Like, if you take a picture, you're lucky to see anything at all. But it does have Wi-Fi on there, and they'll at least give you 4 gigs. It's about 4 gigs of Wi-Fi on there. They give you a phone number on there. You can check your email. You could look up on Google Maps. If your regular phone, your service is out or whatever, use your second phone, pull up Google Maps to navigate. It's a free phone, and you never know what could happen to one phone. So it's backup. If it's free and it's useful, you might as well get it. All right, so that takes care of that. So with homeless classification, what I would recommend is to not be on foot, to have a bicycle. I would also try to tell you that if you're always on the move, you're never going to be establishing yourself. So like a bike packer or bike packing and stuff like that, unless that's what you want to do while you're homeless, is to see a bunch of scenes and stuff like that. That's one thing, right? The same thing about homeless on foot, traveling a whole lot. They're called travelers, or on hobo trails and stuff like that. I don't know all the PC words that they choose. When somebody says, are you homeless? Are you unhoused? When somebody says I'm unhoused, it sounds funny to me. I understand that they're trying to have manners and have respect about it. The truth is it's homeless. But when you're a homeless bum, that's totally different. Another thing with all this is, no matter what classification you're in, you're going to need to make money. And the lower you can live off, the better off you are. the lower that you live on, the better off you can be. So if you make more money, then you can actually start stacking your bread up a little bit, and maybe have goals of what you want to achieve, whether it's to stop being homeless, or whether it's you live like this for a while until you can buy that RV, or you fix your car up, or whatever your case is. Everybody's situation is going to be totally different. But like I was saying, I was going into details about gig apps and DoorDash. Don't think that if you've never done it before that you're going to be making a whole lot of money. If you do, then that's great. Every market is different, like I said, but you need a way to make money. If you're living in a vehicle, and then if you're living on a motorcycle, that's something you can do as well. You can also do it on a bicycle if you live in an area or a market that one will let you do that on DoorDash or Uber Eats, or that everywhere that you pick up at is very close, or you're really quick on the bike. And then also you could do an e-bike as well, but I don't have experience with e-bikes. I have no idea how long they take to charge. That is something you can consider. If that is something you can consider, maybe you need to go ahead and actually have a way to charge it a whole lot better, and maybe look at bigger solar panels or something like that, right? Being a barber, even being a homeless barber, right? Let's say that you're doing shelter life, and I'm going to be talking about shelters and stuff like that in just a few minutes. Well, at least I'm going to be talking about it in this video. If you're a barber, you're most likely going to be cutting other homeless people's hairs. More than just the what they can spare, $1 or $2, or what they can give you as a trade, or you doing it for free. The information that you'll get, the conversations that you get, will help you a whole lot. One, if you're a genuine person, you can find out real quick who to stay away from, or people that are like-minded like you, who you want to rock with. You find out all sorts of gossip. You get a respect for helping people out. Whatever you can afford. If you can't afford anything, I'll still cut your hair, but make sure that everything is really, really clean. Nobody wants to even homeless people do not want their hair cut by if they're not seeing the buzzers clean. Do you know what I'm saying? And you can use portable ones with batteries. That's just an idea, and I have seen people do that before. You could be a working homeless, temp jobs, going to temp agencies, going ahead and then going to dumpsters and finding recyclables. Some cities and states do have recycling, and you will get paid for that stuff. I don't know if all of them do, but yeah, go ahead and recycles. That's what something I did when I was living on the street without a car, and then when I actually got a bicycle. I did it when I was on foot, and I also did it when I was on a bicycle. I believe I actually was able to pay for the bicycle by doing that. One of the key things that I did is I looked for a recycling place that paid well, that was close by, and I would target bars. And at the time, a lot of glass got thrown away, glass beer bottles and stuff like that got thrown away in the dumpsters. And I would go ahead and take those, and I'd fill up in a shopping cart, because glass is really heavy. And in fact, like not even a half a block away from where the recycling place was 2 different bars. They were very close together and stuff like that. I'd go ahead and go in the dumpsters and do that. And liquor stores as well. Liquor stores throw a lot of glass away and stuff like that. Then of course you look for aluminum cans, and you look for 2 liters and stuff like that. One of those things as well is if you're doing that in a like a less than rich area or something like that, doing that in the ghetto basically, or bad, like doing it in I don't know what to call it. I'll just call it ghetto. Doing that in ghetto areas where that kind of behavior happens on the daily, and there's a lot of people. People do get pissed off if you're touching their dumpsters. They feel like they've had claim to it, and you're going to have to stand up for it. You know what? Whatever goes in that trash is whoever gets to it first. Is my stuff. Does that mean I got to be rude and nasty and be a prick about it? No. But if I was going through the dumpster and somebody's like, "That's my dumpster. What the hell are you doing?" I'm not going to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Here's these cans." No, they're mine. Whatever gets thrown in the dumpster, whoever gets there first wins. You know what I mean? So the early bird gets the worm. If shelters, I've always talked bad about shelters because I don't like them, and I've done enough research where I can actually elaborate on a few things. In my area, there's a low entry level barrier. So like if you're out of prison, if you're chronically ill, if you're somebody who has addictions, they want that stuff. Like those people get priority to get in there. They're always at capacity, so even if I wanted to, I can't get into them because they're always at capacity, especially during wintertime, living in the Midwest. I'll roll my window down a little bit, it's getting hot. Well, it's been hot this whole time, but it is what it is. Um, Shelters that require a background check, shelters that require no felonies, shelters that the reports say that they're strict. Those would be on the a little bit on the better side. The low entry ones always have a very big criminal, like a criminality thing going on. There's cliques, there's thieves. They stick together. They all snitch. And what's funny is if you were to snitch on somebody, you get labeled as a snitch. If you fight one of them, they're going to snitch on you. Then all that kind of stuff. You have to pick and choose your battles. And then the ones that have, that have stricter stuff, normally they want to show you, or that not show you, but like normally these people that run these places, they get off by putting people down. It's okay for them to be disrespectful, because if you say one thing that they don't like, you're out the door, right? So are you somebody that can actually keep your mouth mouth shut? Are you somebody that can bite your tongue? Are you somebody who's, you're going to put up with this bullshit because it's necessary, and then, build and stack your chips up and get out of this? I'm somebody who I can't hold my tongue. I'm somebody that, if you say something crazy to me, I like to think that I'm strong enough to walk away, but I know that I'm strong. I know that me not being in that situation is better for me, and it'd be better for them as well. If there was emergencies and stuff like that, I would contemplate it. But the thievery that goes on there, the disrespect that goes on there, I can't deal with it. And what I mean by I can't deal with it is I'm not going to let somebody say something nasty to me without me saying something back. Some of the other hustles is doing art and selling the art, and the way that a lot of people that will actually sell it will be like whatever you can donate. Some of them actually have like, whatever you donate, that's more than $5. You know what I'm saying? Or but for the most part, if somebody likes art and they want to hang on to it, normally they'll be cool about it. If somebody only paid a couple bucks for it, that person probably won't ever offer them good art again. Some of those people who do that art, they also do tattoos. That's a very good hustle. You could basically whatever, like let's say it's $150 for a professional tattoo, and I got professional tattoos, but let's say it's $150 for an hour, right, that you would pay at a shop. Somebody who's homeless, that's probably just as good as a artist, as long as they seem clean and stuff like that, and they take it really important. There's a lot of people that will get tattoos. Basically, I'm saying that there's a high demand, especially for a low price. So let's say, for example, this homeless person is doing it for $30 an hour or $40. That you tattoo for 4 or 5 hours a day, you're making good enough money to not live on the street. Generally speaking, somebody like that would get themselves into a hotel, and then now it's they get word of mouth on the street and do the tattoos inside of a hotel, or something along those lines, or rent a room and let the person know that who's renting the room, I'm using this as a hustle to make money, and they'll do it out in the garage, do it out in the front yard, out in the backyard, however, you know what I mean. But that is a very good hustle. I can't draw to save my life. I've spent years trying to learn how to draw. I've read books. I've tried, I believe it as though it's something that you're born with. Or people that can work towards it and get good at it, then they had it to begin with. I'm somebody who doesn't, no matter how hard I try, and I'm somebody who loves art. I suck at it, but I'm good at a lot of other stuff that people aren't, and then but there's a lot of stuff that I'm not good at all, and art is one of them, and I'm okay with admitting that. Let's see here, singing for food, singing for donations, musical performances whether you play a guitar, you sing, or you do violin, you're doing stuff with the instruments, all that kind of stuff to raise money. When you're dumping in dumpsters and you're doing recyclables, you're also looking for other stuff. Maybe it's scrap metal, maybe it's a dresser, maybe it's a nice frame, maybe it's some clothes, right? Those kind of things could be stashed in a nearby bush, and you could post them online on Craigslist, and or Facebook Marketplace, or any social media place, not social media place, but any place where you can get attention, and you sell those things. Or if there's a used furniture store or a pawn shop nearby, you lug that stuff over there. If it's stuff that's still in boxes and stuff, basically becoming a reseller, a reseller that found stuff in dumpsters. You know what I mean? See here, like I said, gig apps. If you have a car, or if you have a motorcycle, 100% on that. You got to remember that. So those are some of the things that would number one would prepare you. Number two, I'll talk about some of the other stuff, like setting things up. If you live in a car, it may be a good idea to get like a 1,000-watt Jackery. Basically a Jackery is solar panels that you would probably put on you put on top of your roof of your vehicle. If you didn't want to put holes in your vehicle from doing solar panels, you can get a roof rack, and then probably attach some plywood to the roof rack, and then drill that into it instead of drilling it to the top of your hood. That's a good setup. Having a 1,000-watt thing also means if you have the room, you could actually have a mini refrigerator, and you should be good with that. However, that could limit some of the stuff, because some of the stuff with like not just DoorDash. There's a gig app, I can't think of the name of it, where you do the shopping, right? Like there's some that with DoorDash you can do the shopping, and those are normally at Aldi's and Targets. But man, what the hell is the name of that thing? It's kind of hard to get into, but nonetheless, if you do a big old grocery haul and you don't have room in your car, you're limiting yourself on that. However, having the ability to actually have a refrigerator to keep your food cool and stuff like that, now you're not just eating cans of food, because once you open it, you have to eat it, otherwise it's going to go bad. Then it also comes into cooking, right? This is something that's for all classifications. You do not need to cook a top ramen. You just break up the noodles, or leave the noodles in that bag. You pour water in it. It doesn't matter that it's cold water. Within 5 minutes, those noodles are almost as soft as they are coming out the microwave. They're water soluble, so you can eat that. Now, the water from it, like when you eat those noodles, it's not delicious. It's not like even a regular top ramen out of the microwave or out of a stove that's warm isn't delicious, but it does taste a lot better because it's hot. Eating them, they are edible. They're not going to make you sick, but you're not going to enjoy it. It's going to make your stomach stop growling, though. The same thing with instant mashed potatoes. You don't need to use a microwave or use a pot for them to cook. You add water into it and you stir it up, and right then and there. And if you're in a car, I've used the heater in my car to warm that up to a temperature where it's not ice cold. Like it's a little bit hotter than room temperature, and it's not horrible. I also survive off of ravioli cans and things like that. Those don't need to be hot. You can just open them up. Packs of tuna, things like that. Tortillas last for a while. Bread is too easy to get smashed, so tortillas might be a good idea for food. You could also talk about cooking. If you are in a car, and if you had the ultimate setup, or you had a bunch of stuff set up, like you had a power bank, you had solar panels on top of your roof, you could use an air fryer, right? Use an air fryer and cook things. You could do also propane in a car or on foot. It just means you got to carry stuff. There are smaller and lighter alternatives, like it'd literally be a little knob that goes on any propane or butane thing, and you use pots to go ahead and cook on. So you could do that in any classification. In a car, you could actually have it where it's a little bit bigger. Maybe use a big propane tank, and you actually have a camper stove. I have one of them. I've done videos where I showed it on there. What's my experience with that thing? Maybe it's the one I got or whatever. It does not seem like, it takes way too long to even boil water, and that's what it takes butane. I also was using it in winter because I needed to warm up, and I also needed something hot to help me. You know what I mean? But that thing didn't even boil water. I don't know if it would have cooked meat or not. If you're able to cook a hamburger on there, or some ground beef, that would be awesome. And I know that there's ways to do it. It just probably the one I got wasn't. So along with this video, I need to take some of my own advice. Like I need to get that 25-watt solar panel thing. I have a regular backpack. I really should get that 75-liter backpack that is waterproof. Even if you live in your car, and you're like, having that just in case something happens to your car, and you have to go ahead and live basically live behind a dumpster, find a little wooded area that's rural or you know, urban or whatever. I've had to do that a whole lot, you know, finding little wooded areas. I've also found places that were, you know, right behind a grocery store, right next to a dumpster, and I know that they didn't take out the trash till 8 o'clock in the morning. They opened at 6, so if I got out of there before then, nobody would see me and nobody could, you know, bother me basically. Also, waking up that early to go ahead and start my day was a good idea. You got to look at your comforts. Look at the necessities. Necessities come first. It's what you need, not what you want. Packing light. Like I said, the more you know, the less you need. So there's a lot of homeless people out there that, or people that are going to be homeless, that have no idea about that solar panel 25 watt thing. They might be just people outside of a coffee shop, and them going to that coffee shop, you've got to go ahead and buy a coffee, which is like $5. They got to spend $5 a day and be there, and then draw attention to themselves, and be there for over an hour just to charge their phone, when they could have had that solar powered bank and the thing, the sun jack, like I talked about, and then they wouldn't have had to spend the $5 on that expensive coffee. Then also, that if they did pop in a place like that because they were going to get coffee anyways or whatever, right? Instead of being there for the full hour, they could use that supercharger anchor thing that I had talked about, plug that in and go and do this. I also know that if I had I'm not an affiliate for any of these products. I'm also not going to put in any of the links in the description as well. All I ask is that if you find this information good, you hit the subscribe button, and you share my video, and you hit the like button, drop a comment, let me know you're a new subscriber. I think that's basically. I don't need to draw the video out too long. If you've watched this far, type in the chat the word provided, PROVIDED, and I want to thank everybody so much.